Good afternoon. So this is Brian Ricotta with OptiPro Systems, and we are going to be talking about Mastercam 2023, and we are going to be discussing mill and mill 3D enhanced milling strategies, all the new stuff that we got coming out in 2023. So with that, we're going to get started. All right, so the stuff we're going to be talking about today: machine group setup, OptiRough enhancements equals scallop stock awareness step-in, 2D slot mill enhancement, automatic boundaries, auto detect, and include stock for Z-depths. And not new for 2023, but we thought it would be important to discuss Productivity Plus for use in Mastercam. So machine group setup is going to be the first thing that we're going to talk about here. And, I'd like to start off by saying that this entire workflow is going to be optional. This is not something that you have to do in order to get programming with Mastercam, but this is going to be something that will help you out. And for machine group setup, they added a bunch of new tabs for 2023. And again, this is stuff that they're expanding out and is going to be more useful and expanded out in future versions of Mastercam, not so much for 2023. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna touch on these tabs a little bit. I'm gonna more be trying to point out for the older users, how things are the same, where you're going to be finding the material that you're used to seeing. So with that, let me go ahead and we can go into Mastercam, and I will show you guys what I'm talking about. So over here, we've got machine group setup, your files, your tool settings, your stock setup. All these are all exactly the same as before. Again, like I said, they've added a few extra tabs. But now when you come in here in file and tool settings and stock setup, any of these are going to go to the same setup here. Machine group setup, which pulls in as a machine group setup manager, if you will. It's going to show up on your tabs down here with your toolpath manager and your planes manager and levels manager. And they've kind of put it all in one spot. So you've got all your tabs over here: machine, master model, stock setup, work holding, tools, simulation. You're going to notice this master model is a new tab. Work holding is also a new tab, and simulation down here, also something you're not used to seeing over here. Let's go down and just start explaining these things. Machine tab looks just like it used to. Nothing's really changed over here. If we come in the configure machine, opens up your machine definition manager. Let's pull up our general machine parameters. You'll notice we have a new tab over here called simulation. And right here is going to be if you have a simulation for your particular machine, this is going to be where you're going to tie that to your machine group setup for that machine def. Before older versions of Mastercam, you would, every time you wanted to simulate and you wanted to pull up your machine, you would have to repick it out of a list every time. It's kind of nice. They've given you the opportunity to tie it, and you won't have to do it anymore. If you don't have machine simulation, if you didn't purchase that with your post, or maybe you did and you just don't want to look at it, no worries. Use machine definition. Click this. It gets rid of it completely. You won't have to see it anymore. Let's get out of here. Let's come over. Next tab down. Master model. Master model. New tab. Again, not. I don't really believe this is fully developed to its full potential yet. This is going to be stuff that you're going to see down the road. but they have laid the groundwork and got the interface up and going. But your master model is going to be where you pull in, all components of your model. So whether it's your part model, whether it's your models of your work holding, anything else that you have in here, maybe it's a riser, maybe it's a self-centering vise, whatever it is this is going to be where you will have all of your components out here, and you'll be able to turn them on or off or access them all on this list instead of going back to your levels manager. So that'll make things a little bit easier for you. We're going to come down to stock setup. This is basically set up like it used to be. Instead of just punching in numbers like we used to for X, Y, and Z, it's now done with a bounding box. I'm actually going to circle back, and I'm going to show you how to do this when I come back. Let's move on down here to work holding. Your work holding is going to be where you're going to pull in, let's say, custom fixtures or a Kurt vise. And this is going to be where you are able to organize all of the components in your work holding. So let's say you've pulled in a Kurt vise, has 100 different entities that make up that Kurt vise. Every single pin and bolt and screw and every little part of that is going to be its own little its own little model, if you will, that you can turn on and off. This is going to be where you're going to be able to group those together and turn them on and off in one shot. So let's say your vice jaw bolts, instead of having multiple bolts set up there where you're turning each one and off individually, you're going to be able to take those, add them into one group, call it vice jaw bolts, and you could turn them on and off all together. This is purely organizational for you guys, and again, optional workflow, not something you have to do, but it will save you time in the future and down the road. So if you choose to go there, it's here. Your tools looks exactly the same as it always was. Going to be your tool list over here. Open up your tool manager from over here. Nothing really changed there. And then down here on the bottom, simulation. This is going to be the machine simulation that you tied to your machine def. Is going to pop up here, and this is going to be where you're going to be able to play that out and watch your part run on your machine. Again, not everyone uses this. You needed to purchase the simulation with your post. If you did so and you like looking at the simulation on your machine, this is where you're going to do it. Let's go back up here to the stock setup, and just want to show you guys, a basic stock setup that you're going to do and is going to help you out and start your programmer right away. This is probably what the vast majority of our customers do. So you're going to come in, you've imported your model, you've got that. You're going to come over here, we're going to right click on rectangle, and we're going to go edit bounding box. That is going to open up our bounding box workflow, and this is going to be where we input all the dimensions for our stock. So we have a couple ways we could do this here. We could come in and we could manually come in and we could come over here and we could choose our part that way. We could come in here and we could go Control A and choose our part that way. We could also, let's see, we come back over here. And we can go all shown. That is by far my favorite way of picking it. It just makes it a whole lot easier. Picks the entire model for you. If we want to add stock to this stock setup, you could come in here and we can just click and we can drag out areas that we want to add stock to. One way of doing it. We can also put in our origin setting. I want to make mine at the top. I'm going to add material right down here on size. So I'm going to add 100 thou on each side of my X. I'm going to say 5.2. I'm going to add 100 thou in my Y. So I'm going to go 3.2. And let's see, I'm going to add 1/2 inch to the bottom so that I have something for my vise to grab. And you know what? Let's add 30 thou to the top here so that we have something to clean up when I face this guy off. So with that, you can see here, there's our 30 thou, the extra 1/2 inch on the bottom, 100 thou, and my X and Y worked out pretty well, I would have to say. And then from there, you would swing over to your toolpaths manager and you would start programming just like you always did. Nothing different, just a little bit different way of creating your stock setup. So not too bad. Let's come back over to the PowerPoint. All right, guys, the next thing I want to talk about is OptiRough, undercut stock awareness, and automatic boundary. Both, pretty cool additions to Mastercam 2023 this year. So let's look at this part that we have. We have a graphic. This part has obviously been through, let's say, a first operation where it's gone in and taken out this material. We have the top over here. We're going to want to remove this material on a second up. So you're going to go in and you're going to create a stock model. And Mastercam now is going to be able to know that we have this undercut stock. Old school way of doing things. Mastercam didn't know. After it took off this material on top, look at all this air cutting going on down here. Mastercam was not intelligent enough to know that there was no, the material. It thinks that this box of material continues on all the way down to the bottom. Not so. We went in, we've made a stock model, and we're going to use undercut stock. Mastercam will know exactly what is needed. So we will do that. Stock model, you come over, your rest material, detect undercut stock. You're going to check this box, and you'll see that now Mastercam knows exactly where and where not stock is. So no more air cutting. Beautiful stuff. Highly recommend it. This is probably going to be your biggest time saver across all the changes that they made for Mastercam 2023. Save you guys a bunch of time, some headaches, and it's probably going to make your boss pretty happy, I'm going to guess. Over here for all your tools, this is nice. We have a much wider field of view. You're able to see everything about your tools all in one shot. The old way you had to come in, you only saw a tiny little bit. You would drag it out, and you would still have to scroll back and forth and expand columns out to see all the information that you had for your tools. Not so. They've gone and they've made that bigger, so now you can see everything all at one shot. And that is all the way across the board in 2023. So that's not just for OptiRough. So any of your tool paths will have that. Going in, and if you're going to create a tool, you'll notice down here they've made a larger and nice high-res tool icons, so you could identify your tooling a little bit easier. Kind of a nice touch. You'll notice if we move down to cut parameter page, this looks a little bit cleaner. We have a cleaner user interface down here. Looks a little empty down here on the bottom. And if you think that, you are correct. They took the transition off of this. So all your micro lifts and your back feed, that's all now located over here on your linking parameters page. That's to stay a little more consistent with linking parameter page on other tool paths. So in speaking with consistency, they've gone in, taken your primary leads and your secondary leads. We've separated those out and added those to the linking toolpath page as well. So if you're looking around for those things, can't find them, linking parameter page, that's where you're going to find them. All right, so automatically detecting and including stock for Z-depths. New for Mastercam 2023, pretty nice. This is going to be contingent upon you using a stock model. Old school days, you would come in, you could say detect limit, and that worked out pretty well. But if you went back and you made any changes to the toolpath, anything along those lines, you would have to come back in and click detect limit again every time. If there was a change made, come back in, detect limit. Kind of a pain in the butt. So now using your stock model, you could come in over here, automatically detect depth, and it is going to automatically put in your min and max for that based on your stock model, and you won't have to come in and keep hitting detect limits. Pretty nice workflow. Love that, and I'm going to show you an example of that in a little bit when I get into automatic boundaries. With that being said, let's look at automatic boundaries. Probably my favorite thing that got added this year to the mill package. I'm really liking this. So you're going in, you're doing an OptiRough, you're doing a rest milling operation. It needed to have a boundary around the outside of your part in order for that. Otherwise, you'd get this error. So a containment boundary is required for rest roughing. The min and max limits of the machining data will be used. So you would come in, and what typically people would do, they would have their part file, they would put this gigantic boundary around it, just draw a box, and they would call that their containment boundary. And then with that, they would come in from the outside, and they would put a giant number in over here for offset distance. So your tool would know where to go. Not so anymore. So now we have this area, this automatic boundary area, and none is one of the options. And Mastercam is going to figure out your boundary for you. And that works beautifully. I'm going to urge you guys to try it, and I'm actually going to show you guys an example in a second here of how awesome it is. Again, love it. They've taken silhouette boundary and put that in the drop down here. Bounding rectangle, bounding circle is a new one. All these options, check them out. But I'm going to urge you guys to try none and give it a shot. I think you won't be disappointed. And also wanted to note, so older legacy files where you did draw your giant rectangles and make your own boundaries and containment boundaries, those will be recognized. So if you pull in old legacy file in the 2023, you don't have to worry about redoing the boundaries or anything like that. It's going to recognize what you have already. So legacy files are A-OK on that. So with that being said, I would like to jump out of here. Let me pull up Mastercam, and I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. All right. I'm going to pull up this file again here. So let me look at my stock setup. Stock setup is still there from the last time. That's cool. So what I'm going to do, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make a stock model. And we're going to call our stock model starting stock. And I'm going to bring in the information from my stock setup into my stock model. So you see all my dimensions have pulled in correctly. Green check that. And now I have my stock model is ready to go. This works just like a toolpath. I could turn this guy on and off. So we're going to leave it off over here, and we are going to go in and we are going to do our OptiRest. Click over here. I'm going to pick my part. Okay, toolpath control. I'm not going to pick a boundary chain. We're going to let Mastercam do it. Automatic boundary, I'm setting my automatic boundary to none. Again, I'm going to let Mastercam pick it. We took the time to make an accurate stock model, and Mastercam is going to do it for us. We're going to come. A strategy is going to be from outside. We're going to compensate to the outside. We are not going to put anything in for offset distance. Again, Mastercam is going to figure this out perfectly. However, I'm going to skip these pockets. I don't want my end mill to go in there. What I'm looking to do is I want to have the top dynamic roughed out, like faced, and then we're going to clean all 4 sides on the outside with the same end mill. And so you're going to see that we're going to do 5 sides of this part. And Mastercam is going to figure it out all by itself. Tool, we're going to use a 1/2-inch end mill. I'm not going to mess with the holder at all. For stock, we're going to go rest material. One other operation. Cut parameters. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We're going to leave that alone. Steep and shallow. This is where we were talking before. We're going to have automatically detect depths. So because we took the time to do our stock model, Mastercam is going to automatically know where the min and max is by picking these boxes. So let's check it out. If I did this correct, we should have exactly that. So we've come in, we've got a nice dynamic facing operation here, and we're coming around the outside. We are cleaning up all 5 sides of this block, and we are only coming on this and off this 3 times. Pretty impressive. Let's take a quick look at this here. All right. It came on, it came off, on, and that's it. Not bad. With that being said, try automatic boundary and try using none. I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with the outcome on that. I love it. So happy. So we're going to come back over here, guys. Equal scallop, stock awareness, step in. That's what we're talking about next. Sounds all big and scary. Nothing is really changed too drastically other than, well, I mean, I guess it is drastic change. We have added step-ins to the equal scallop toolpath. Nothing mind-bending going on here, but it's going to add some more functionality. This graphic, we have some pockets that were roughed out, and we have material left in the corners here, kind of typical. The way we used to go in and do this, you would come in and you would do another tool model, I'm sorry, stock model, and then you would do another scallop toolpath, and you would come in with maybe a slightly smaller tool, and you would use a smaller radius, and you would be picking this material out. And if that didn't get it all out, you would make another stock model, and so on and so forth. You would just keep picking this material out and keep getting, smaller radius, smaller tool as you went along. The danger was if you went in too soon with too small of a tool, there's too much material there, you risked breaking your tool, right? So if we come in, here's another version of a scallop toolpath. If we look at down here, basic scallop toolpath would come in, and you basically had multi-pass and step downs. That's pretty much all you had with the scallop. And you can see in here where it left a pretty good amount of material here. And like what I was talking about before, if you came in too soon with too small of a tool, chances are you would probably break it. So down here, we're going to look at equal scallop. And being able to adjust your step in, you're able to come in sooner with a smaller tool and kind of ease your way into that. Kind of a nice setup. So how you would do that is in your equal scallop, you're going to come over here. You're going to have this little checkbox for step in. You're going to click that. You're going to input the amount of your step in, of your step over, and that's that. You're going to have some much easier tool paths. You're going to give you a little more functionality and be able to ease into those corners and get done in less operations. So definite win for you picking out material with equal scallop. Let's talk about 2D slot mill enhancements. So now, able to do some interesting shapes, not just the straight on slot. Before, you would have to have two parallel sides and a closed chain to get in and use slot mill. Now we're able to do some more interesting shapes, as you can see in the graphic here. We've got some circular slots, and we have this weird pocket down here on the bottom. Pretty cool. You're going to go ahead, you could pick your chain, and you can see now how slot mill is not just a straight on boring slot anymore. You're able to do that. And let me look at notes here. So now the bonus to this is you're able to take advantage of all the features of slot mill, and you're able to use all your arc entries and your center away milling for all different types of geometries instead of just your straight on slot. Could you have gone in and used contour, like with a ramping motion? Sure, absolutely. But we added on, like I said, a little more functionality with the slot mill, and we're just adding more tools to the toolbox, guys, giving you more opportunities and expanded ways of finishing out these pockets. So now feel free to do some interesting pocketing with slot mill. Not new for 2023, Productivity Plus. We noticed in a lot of the rollout sessions that we did, we were asking about Pro Plus, if any of our customers were using this, and we found that a lot of them weren't. So we felt that this is an area that more people should be utilizing. So you're basically, if your machine is capable, Productivity Plus allows you to use run-a-shop probing within Mastercam and program for it that way. A lot of functionality there. Not only for doing your setups and finding zeros, but for checking, let's say, bore sizes, slot sizes, checking true position, a lot of different things that Pro Plus can do for you within your machining environment. Old graphic here, but you're going to get the idea. You're basically using your CNC machine like a CMM. However, this is going to be only as accurate as your machine is accurate, right? Most CMM machines are probably more accurate than the machine that you're running. But if you're running parts that are, let's say, plus or minus 5 thou tolerance all day long, right? You're going to be able to come in and check parts within your machine and be able to do printouts and gather reports and know right then and there if your parts are good or not. Definite win-win, right? Saving you guys from taking parts out and running them into inspection all the time. You can check them all right inside your machine. We have this nice little flow chart for you to follow to see if even Pro Plus is right for you. So we'll have you guys look at this. The person that you're going to want to contact here at OptiPro, Vince Canarozzo, is your Pro Plus expert over here. Most of our customers know Vince, been here a long time. Give him a call, and I'm sure he will be happy to discuss your situation and see if Productivity Plus is right for you guys. With that being said, again, I'm Brian Ricotta, Mastercam Support Specialist here at OptiPro, and thanks for being Mastercam customers. Check out 2023. Again, some very cool stuff going on this year. Always expanding every year. Mastercam never leaves you hanging. So thanks for checking it out, and thanks for being a Mastercam customer.